The gym smelled like cheap cologne and desperation, the kind that clings to your skin long after you've fled the scene. I remember the exact moment the world tilted. Roman's fist cracking against my cheekbone like a thunderclap in a library, silent until it wasn't. "Stay in your books, worm," he growled, his voice slicing through the thumping bass of some forgotten pop song, and the laughter that followed was a tidal wave, drowning me right there on the sticky floor. I'm Alex Harper, the kid who'd rather dissect Hemingway than dodge footballs, and that night at Evergreen High's senior prom in rainy Seattle was supposed to be my shot at normalcy. My mom had ironed my one decent shirt, the blue one that didn't scream, "thrift store reject," and I'd even practiced small talk in the mirror. "Yeah, the Mariners are killing it this season." "Wait, are they?" "But normalcy? That's a myth for guys like me, the ones who blush at crushes on boys in flannel and hide dog-eared copies of The Great Gatsby like contraband." It started innocently enough, or as innocent as a forced social ritual gets. I'd shown up solo, because who needs a date when you've got a stack of unread sci-fi novels waiting at home? The gym was a fever dream of twinkling fairy lights and crepe paper banners screaming, "Evergreen forever," as if any of us believed we'd keep in touch after diplomas were doled out. Clusters of girls in sequin dresses giggled by the snack table, while jocks like Roman prowled the edges, red solo cups in hand, scouting for conquests or chaos. Roman was the king of it all, captain of the football team, with shoulders broad enough to block out the sun and a smile that could charm teachers into extra credit. But beneath that all-American polish was a rot, the kind that festers in small towns where fitting in means stepping on necks. We'd crossed paths since freshman year, me in the back of English class, scribbling notes on symbolism, him slouching in the front, doodling plays that won games and broke spirits. He tolerated me until he didn't, and prom night was when the dam broke. I'd been nursing a lukewarm punch, pretending to sway to the music, when Sarah Jenkins, cheer captain and Roman's on again, off again flame, dragged me into a game of never have I ever. The circle was mostly her crowd, the beautiful people who'd never once cracked a spine on a book thicker than a magazine. "Never have I ever. Read more than 10 books in a year," Sarah said with a wink, and the group howled as if she'd dropped a mic. I raised my cup, deadpan. "Guilty. Try 50. Laughter, but it was the wrong kind, the pitying chuckle that says, "Oh, the freak speaks." Roman, lounging against the bleachers with his buddies, locked eyes with me. His grin was all teeth, no warmth. 50? Dude, that's not living. That's hiding. The circle tightened. Someone, maybe Jake, Roman's shadow, nudged him. "Bet he's hiding more than books, Rom. Like, you know." A crude gesture, the kind that twists your gut because it's not just a joke. It's a verdict. The air thickened, the music fading to a dull roar in my ears. I could feel the heat rising, not just in my face but everywhere. The weight of eyes pinning me like specimens under glass. "Leave it, man," I muttered, voice barely audible over the bass. But Roman wasn't one for mercy. He sauntered over, all 6'2" of him eclipsing the light, and snatched the book from my back pocket. Giovanni's Room, Baldwin's gut punch of a novel about love that dare not speak its name. He'd seen me reading it in the hall earlier, probably filed it away like ammo. "Look at this shit," he announced, holding it aloft like a trophy. "Little Alex and his fairy tales. Fitting, huh?" The word fairy landed like a slap, laced with venom that no one in our podunk corner of Seattle would admit was hate. Whispers turned to snickers, then outright guffaws. Sarah's hand flew to her mouth, but her eyes sparkled with that cruel delight of the bystander. I lunged for the book, heart hammering like a trapped bird. "Give it back, Roman. It's not yours to." My words cut off as his free hand shot out, palm connecting with my chest, shoving me back into the punch table. Cups toppled, crimson liquid splashing across my shirt like war paint. And then the punch. Not the drink, but his knuckles against my jaw. The world spun, colors blurring into a kaleidoscope of shame. I hit the floor hard, the impact jarring my glasses askew, shards of plastic crunching under my elbow. Laughter exploded, a cacophony that echoed off the rafters, and through the haze, I saw Roman toss the book into the spill, pages soaking up the mess like tears. Stay down, bookworm. World's not kind to your type. Your type. The words burrowed deep, confirming what I'd suspected since middle school locker room whispers. They knew, or suspected, and in that moment, sprawled in a puddle that smelled like artificial cherries and defeat, I felt every layer of my carefully constructed armor crack. The gym doors loomed across the room, an exit I could have taken, tail between my legs, another night to file under survivable humiliations. But something snapped. Not just my pride, but the silence I'd worn like a second skin. No, I said, the words scraping out raw and ragged. Heads turned, the laughter faltering like a record skip. I pushed myself up on trembling arms, ignoring the sting in my jaw, the sticky cold seeping through my pants. Roman paused, cup halfway to his lips, surprise flickering in those blue eyes that suddenly looked small, uncertain. "What did you say, Harper?" His voice was low, a warning wrapped in bravado. I met his gaze, tasting blood where my lip had split. I said no. You don't get to do this. Not anymore. The circle shifted uneasily. Sarah's smile wilted. Jake muttered something about chill. But no one moved. The music pulsed on, oblivious, as if the universe hadn't just tilted on its axis. Roman's face hardened, that kingly mask slipping back into place. He stepped closer, towering, but I didn't flinch. Not this time. "You think you're tough now? Quoting your dead poets won't save you." "It's not about poets," I shot back, voice gaining steel. "It's about you hiding behind your fists because facing yourself scares you shitless." The gym went pin-drop quiet, the kind of silence that amplifies heartbeats. I crossed a line, hell, I'd vaulted it, and part of me waited for the next blow, the one that would end me. But it didn't come. Instead, from the shadows of the bleachers, a voice cut through like a lifeline tossed into rough seas. "Enough, Roman. Back off." Elias Kane. The name alone was a whisper in the halls. The new kid from Portland, transfer senior with a reputation for sketching murals on abandoned warehouses and vanishing before cops showed. He unfolded from his perch, leather jacket creaking softly, dark hair falling into eyes that burned with something fierce and unnameable. Tall but lean, like a willow in a storm, he moved with the quiet grace of someone who'd seen too much too young. Roman whirled, surprise morphing to disdain. "Stay out of it, Kane. This ain't your circus." Elias didn't blink. He crossed the floor in 3 strides, positioning himself between us, his back to me like a shield. Up close, he smelled like rain and charcoal pencils, a scent that cut through the gym's stale fog. "Looks like it is. And the clowns you." The jab landed. Roman's jaw clenched, fists balling at his sides. For a heartbeat, I thought fists would fly again, this time not at me. But the crowd's murmurs swelled, chaperones stirring from their corner posts, and Roman spat on the floor inches from my ruined book. "This ain't over, Harper. Freak." He stormed off, posse in tow, leaving a wake of awkward glances and half-hearted claps for the DJ resuming his set. I sagged against the table, adrenaline crashing like waves on Alki Beach, leaving me hollowed out. Elias turned, offering a hand without a word. His palm was calloused, artist's hands, and when our fingers touched, a spark jumped. Not dramatic, not movie-like, but real, like static before a storm. "You okay?" His voice was soft, laced with that faint Pacific Northwest drawl, concern etching lines around his mouth. I nodded, though my cheek throbbed. "Yeah, thanks for that." I retrieved the sodden book, pages curling like dying leaves. Baldwin's words blurred but not erased. He shrugged, but his eyes lingered, searching. "No one deserves that shit, especially not for being you." The pause held weight, an invitation or an echo of my own hidden truths. The rest of prom blurred into a haze of stolen glances and tentative conversation. Elias and I migrated to the bleachers, away from the spotlight, where the rain pattered against the high windows like impatient fingers. He pulled out a sketchpad from his jacket, flipping to a half-finished drawing of the Space Needle shrouded in mist, Seattle's crooked crown, defiant against the gray. "You're good," I said, tracing the lines with my eyes. "Like, really good." He chuckled, low and warm. "Comes with practice. You escape into books. I escape into lines. Same difference." We really talked, for hours or what felt like it, about how he'd bounced from Portland after his folks split, landing in our rainy corner of the world with an aunt who mostly left him to his own devices. About my stack of library finds and the dog-eared journals under my bed, filled with poems I'd never share. He didn't pry about Roman, but when I mentioned the football star's reign of terror, Elias's pencil stilled. "Rumors say he's got his own secrets," Elias murmured, shading the needle's spire darker. "Closeted ones. Makes the bullying personal." My stomach twisted. "You think?" He met my gaze steady. "I know guys like him. They lash out to keep the mask on." There was a shadow in his words, a history he didn't unpack, but it mirrored my own. The fear of being seen, truly seen, in a town where gay was still whispered like a curse. By midnight, as the crowd thinned and the janitor started sweeping confetti into piles, Elias walked me to my beat-up Honda in the parking lot. Rain slicked the asphalt, turning streetlights into halos. "Hey," he said, pausing at my door. "You refused to stay silent tonight. That's brave. Don't stop now." His hand brushed my arm, lingering a second too long, and my pulse stuttered. "Thanks to you." "Nah, that was all you." He grinned, crooked and genuine, before vanishing into the downpour like a ghost. I drove home with the windows down, letting the rain wash away the night's grime, Baldwin's ruined pages drying on the passenger seat. Sleep came fitful, haunted by Roman's sneer and Elias's touch. But morning brought a resolve sharper than any bruise. School was out for summer, but Seattle's endless drizzle meant grudges didn't dry up easy. And mine? It was just getting started. The days after prom stretched like taffy, sticky, endless, laced with the sweet ache of possibility. Seattle's summer is a myth, more mist than sun, but I filled mine with the familiar rhythm of the Central Library downtown, losing myself in stacks that smelled of aged paper and forgotten dreams. Mom worked doubles at the diner, so the house was mine. A creaky Victorian on Queen and Hill, with views of the Sound that mocked my isolation. I'd replay the night in loops, Roman's fist, the crowd's roar, Elias's quiet fury, each iteration chipping at the walls I'd built since coming out to myself at 15, in whispers to my reflection. A week in, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. "Heard you took a dive at prom." Still breathing, Bookworm? Roman. The gall or the stupidity? I stared at the screen, thumb hovering over block, but curiosity, that old temptress, won. "Barely. What's it to you?" His reply was instant. "Just checking my work. Party at the lake this weekend. Show up if you got balls." A winking emoji like we were buddies trading barbs. Bullshit. It was bait. A chance to finish what he'd started. But beneath the taunt lurked something jagged, desperation. I deleted the thread, but the seed planted. Silence wasn't survival. It was surrender. Elias found me first, though, in the unlikeliest place. Pike Place Market on a drizzly Thursday. I was haggling over a stack of used paperbacks from the vendor carts, on the road for a steal, when a shadow fell over the pile. Kerouac, huh? Fitting for a road not taken. I looked up, and there he was, sketchpad tucked under one arm, a paper cup of Stumptown coffee steaming in the other. His hair was damp, curling at the ends, and that leather jacket gleamed wetly under the market's awnings. "Elias, stalking now?" He laughed, handing over a second coffee. "Black, 2 sugars, just how I'd confessed to liking it that night." "Guilty. Saw you from the fish throwers. Figured you'd appreciate the caffeine intervention." We wandered then, weaving through the crush of tourists tossing salmon and locals hawking lavender bundles, the air thick with salt and flowers. He sketched quick portraits of fishmongers for tips, while I rambled about how markets like this were Kerouac's America distilled, raw, restless, real. "You're easy to talk to," he admitted as we perched on a bench overlooking Elliott Bay, ferries cutting white wakes against the Olympic silhouette. "Most people, they fill the air with noise. You listen. Heat crept up my neck. Not from the coffee. Comes with the territory. Books teach you that stories aren't monologues. Our knees brushed, accidental at first, then not, and the contact hummed like a live wire. Elias's eyes, hazel flecked with gold, held mine a beat too long, and in that suspended breath, I glimpsed it. The mirror of my longing, tentative and terrified. We met like that for weeks. Accidental on purpose run-ins that strung into something deliberate. Coffee at Elliott Bay Book Company, where he'd doodle while I read aloud from the bell jar. Hikes up Discovery Park, trading secrets amid madrona trees and raven calls. Elias opened up in fragments. A dad lost to the bottle. A mom who'd remarried across state lines, leaving him adrift in foster limbo until his aunt's reluctant harbor. Art was his anchor, graffiti tags on industrial walls his rebellion. It's like screaming without the sound, he'd say, charcoal-smudged fingers gesturing to invisible canvases. And me? I spilled about Roman's campaigns, the wedgies in 8th grade, the locker graffiti in sophomore year, each escalation a brick in the wall between us. He's everywhere. I confessed one evening on my porch, the sound a glittering ribbon below as dusk bled purple. Like Seattle fog, inescapable. Elias's jaw tightened, a muscle ticking. Foglifts, especially with wind. He reached for my hand then, deliberate, his thumb tracing my knuckles in a rhythm that steadied my pulse. The touch was chaste, electric, a promise whispered in skin. You're not alone in this, Alex. That night, under a sky pricked with stars rare for city lights, we kissed. It was soft, exploratory, tasting of salt air and unspoken fears, his lips cool against the summer warmth. No fireworks, no sweeping scores. Just us, two boys on a sagging porch swing, rewriting our narratives one hesitant press at a time. When we pulled apart, foreheads touching, he murmured, "This scares me, but in a good way." "Me too," I whispered, heart a drum solo. For the first time, the world felt vast, not suffocating, a Kerouac road unfurling with Elias shotgun. But Seattle's undercurrents run deep, and betrayal brews in the shallows. It hit mid-July, at Roman's Lake Party. A sprawling bash on Lake Washington, bonfires crackling against the dusk, bass thumping from truck beds, the water lapping like applause. I'd sworn off going, but Elias convinced me. Show him you're not broken. We're not hiding. We arrived hand in hand, a quiet declaration amid the pickup trucks and cooler clinks. Heads turned. Sarah's arched brow, Jake's smirk. But we held fast, claiming a spot by the fire with cheap beers and forced nonchalance. Elias sketched the flames dance, while I quoted Plath under my breath, grounding myself in verse. Roman emerged from the crowd like a storm front, red cup in hand, eyes glassy with whatever fueled his fire that night. He clocked us immediately, that predatory gleam sharpening. Harper and Kane. Slumming it. Elias didn't rise, pencil steady. Just here for the view. Roman barked a laugh, too loud, drawing eyes. He dropped onto a log across the flames, close enough for the heat to war with the chill in his stare. View's fine, but words out, Bookworm. Saw you two locking lips on that porch. Real cute. My blood iced. How? The porch was private, shadowed by overgrown rhododendrons. Elias's pencil snapped, graphite splintering. Spying now, Roman? That's low even for you. He leaned forward, firelight carving hollows in his face. Not spying, just curious. Turns out, you're not the only one with secrets, Alex. His voice dropped, oily. Remember sophomore bio? That note you passed? The one about dreaming of boys like Roman? The world narrowed to a pinprick. The note, stupid, scribbled in a hormone haze, slipped into his locker as a joke on myself, a confession I'd burned in my mind. I'd assumed it vanished, unread. But his eyes now, they held no triumph, only a plea masked as poison. You kept it. I choked. The fire's roar deafening. Roman's mask cracked, vulnerability flashing like lightning. Burned it. Mostly. He glanced at Elias, then away, to the lake's black mirror. But yeah, I get it. The hiding. Elias stood, slow, fury coiling. You get it? By humiliating him, throwing punches to feel straight. Roman surged up, faces inches apart over the flames. You don't know shit, Kane. You waltz in from Portland, playing hero, but you're just like him. Another fairy chasing rainbows in this shithole town. The word detonated, raw from his lips, laced with self-loathing that twisted my gut. The party hushed, a ring of shadows closing in. I rose, hand on Elias's arm. Roman, stop. This isn't. But he whirled on me, eyes wild. What, Alex? You think one kiss makes you brave? I could have been your friend. Back then. But you made it weird. His voice broke, accusation crumbling into confession. I kept that note because, fuck, it saw me. Before I even saw myself. The admission hung, a grenade with the pin pulled. Elias's grip tightened on mine, but doubt seeded. Had Roman's cruelty been a mirror, not malice? The fire popped, embers swirling like accusations. Sarah materialized then, tugging Roman's sleeve. Babe, let's go. You're drunk. But her eyes darted to me, calculating, and in that flicker, I saw the betrayal's architect. Her, feeding Roman's rage to keep her throne. He shrugged her off, staggering toward the water's edge. Screw this. Splash. He dove in, clothes and all, the lake swallowing his silhouette in a V of ripples. The party exhaled, murmurs rising, but the damage lingered, acrid as smoke. Elias pulled me aside, into the tree line where pines whispered secrets. He's full of shit, he said, but his voice wavered, eyes scanning my face. Right? I nodded, but the note's ghost clawed at me. Yeah, but what if he's not all monster? Elias's jaw set, a storm brewing. Monsters don't get passes for pain. He hurt you. His hands framed my face, thumbs brushing my cheeks. We hurt each other sometimes, but we don't destroy. We kissed again, fiercer. The lake's lap a counterpoint to our breaths. But as we broke apart, headlights pierced the dark. A cop car, routine patrol, but it scattered the stragglers like leaves. Roman didn't resurface that night, or the next rumor mill spin. The fallout hit like Seattle's autumn gales. Whispers in group chats. Roman outed himself. Nah, just wasted. But deeper currents stirred. Sarah's posts. Subtle shade on fake allies. Tagging Elias with cryptic emojis. I ignored them, diving into Elias's world. Late nights in his aunt's garage studio. Him painting murals of fractured skylines while I read poetry by lantern light. Our romance bloomed quiet, profound. Stolen touches in fern-choked trails. Confessions over vinyl spins of Elliott Smith. His voice harmonizing with mine in off-key duets. Yet doubt gnawed.
Roman texted sporadically, sorry, man.
Heat of the moment. Each ping a hook in my resolve. Elias noticed, tension coiling like a spring. Block him, he'd urge, but I couldn't, not fully. Forgiveness felt like weakness, but erasure like cruelty. August crested, school looming like a guillotine. We planned a road trip, me, Elias, a borrowed tent, the Oregon coast's wild call. Escape before the cage closes, he said, packing his easel with salt-stiffened grin. I agreed, visions of Cannon Beach bonfires dancing, our hands linked against the tide. But betrayal's tide turns swift. The night before departure, my phone lit with a video from an unknown. Grainy footage of Elias, months back in Portland, arguing heatedly with a shadowed figure, his ex? Words blurred, but the shove, the plea. Don't out me, Eli, not like this, cut clear. Caption, heroes got skeletons. Ask Alex. My chest caved. Elias, at my door an hour later, backpack slung, eyes wide. It's not shit, Alex, it's old. He was toxic, manipulative. I left to protect us both. By keeping it from me, the words tasted bitter, Roman's echo in my hurt. After everything, the note, the hiding, you do the same? He reached, desperate. I was scared you'd think. Like Roman does? that secrets justify the lies. I stepped back, the porch swing creaking like a sob. Rain started, fat drops blurring the city lights. I refused silence once. Can't start building it now. Alex, please. His voice cracked, hand outstretched. But I shut the door, the click of guillotines fall. The Oregon trip dissolved into ether, my civic gathering dust in the driveway, while I burrowed into books like a wounded animal. The sun also rises. Hemingway's Lost Souls wandering Spain, chasing what slipped through fingers. Fitting. Elias's texts piled up. Talk to me. It's not what you think. Then silence. A void that echoed louder than any fight. Roman, opportunistic vulture, swooped in with calls I didn't answer. Voicemails laced with false contrition. Heard about Kane. Told you, man. Trust no one. School reconvened in September's chill. Evergreen High, a pressure cooker of recycled grudges. I navigated halls like minefields, head down, backpack heavy with unread syllabi. Whispers trailed. Bookworm's solo now. Drama king. Sarah's clique amplified. Instagram stories veiled barbs at backstabbers. But her eyes avoided mine, guilt or indifference. Roman, though, he watched. From across the quad, during lunch under the dripping cedars. His gaze lingered, not hostile but haunted, like a dog circling its own tail. Elias was a ghost, present in echoes. His empty seat in art elective, he'd switched to independent study. The mural half-finished on the drama room wall. A fractured Seattle skyline, now marred by overzealous admin paint. I ached for him, the betrayal's sting mellowing to confusion, then longing. Had I overreacted? Secrets weren't lies, not always. They were shields, forged in fires I knew too well. Midterms loomed, a distraction I clung to like driftwood. Study sessions in the library's third-floor carols. Fluorescent hum, my only companion. One rainy Tuesday, as thunder grumbled over the sound, a shadow fell across my notes. Roman, hoodie zipped to his chin, hands shoved deep in pockets. He looked smaller without his posse, vulnerable almost. Harper. Not a question, just my name, rough as gravel. I stiffened, pen pausing mid-equation. What? Can I sit? He gestured to the chair opposite, waiting for my nod before collapsing into it. Elbows on knees, head bowed. Rain streaked the window behind him, mirroring the mess in his eyes. I fucked up. Prom. The lake. All of it. Understatement of the century. But the rawness disarmed me. Why now? Senior year hangover. He rubbed his jaw, stubble rasping. Nah. Therapy. Coach mandated after. Summer shit. A pause. Heavy. The note. It wasn't just a joke to me. I kept it because it named what I couldn't. But I turned it into a weapon. On you. On myself. The confession spilled then, halting at first, then torrent. Roman's dad, ex-Marine, drilling man up into his bones. The pressure of scouts, Sarah's expectations, the town's Bible Belt underbelly disguised as coffee shops and craft breweries. I hated you for seeing it first, he admitted, voice thick. Easier to punch than face. I listened, the library clock ticking like a confessor's metronome. Empathy warred with wariness. Forgiveness a bridge, not a surrender. Hurting me didn't bury it, Roman. Just dug the hole deeper. He nodded, eyes glistening. I know. That's why. Elias. I didn't send that video. But I knew about it. Sarah dug it up, showed me weeks ago. I should have warned you. Betrayal's second wave colder. You knew. Thought it'd push you away from him. Keep you safe from my mess. He laughed. Bitter. Stupid. I was jealous. Of your courage. His too. The pieces slotted. Roman's texts. The lake dive. A cry for air in drowning waters. Not monster, but man. Fractured by the same American dream that chews up outliers and spits out conformity. You out yet? I asked soft. He shook his head. Working on it. One session at a time. A ghost of a smile. You refused silence. Teach me? We talked till closing, halting, human. The rain easing to mist outside. No hugs, no instant bromance. But a crack in the ice, sunlight piercing. Elias resurfaced at month's end, cornering me after lit class in the emptying hall. Rain-jacketed students streamed past, umbrellas blooming like black flowers. He looked wrecked, dark circles under hazel eyes, sketchpad edges frayed. "Alex, please." I leaned against lockers, arms crossed. Video was old news. "Why hide it?" He exhaled, ragged. "Because it wasn't mine to unpack yet." My ex, he was deep in denial, violent when cornered. Leaving him meant risking everything. His family had pull, threats. I buried it to survive, not to deceive you. The hurt resurfaced, sharp. And when we connected, still buried. Guilt shadowed his face. "I was going to tell you. On the coast. Under stars, no walls." He stepped closer, voice dropping. "I love you, Alex." Terrified, messy love. But real. The words landed like manna, healing fissures I'd ignored. Love. Not the rom-com gloss, but the gritty, humanistic kind, forged in flaws. "I love you too," I said, the admission freeing. "But no more shadows." We faced them together. His smile broke, tentative, as he pulled me into an embrace. Brief, fierce, the hall's fluorescent witness. Deal. The climax brewed swift, Seattle style. A storm front rolling in unannounced. Homecoming week, football frenzy peaking under stadium lights slick with drizzle. Roman started as quarterback. The crowd's roar a thunder of expectation. Elias and I sat mid-bleachers, hands linked under a shared blanket. My bruises faded but scars etched deep. Halftime. The team huddled, cheers swelling. Then a snap, audible even from afar. Roman crumpled, leg twisting unnatural, screams swallowed by gasps. Medics rushed, stretcher borne off-field, his face ashen under the glare. The game blurred. We followed the ambulance to Harborview, a vigil in sterile waits. Sarah paced, mascara streaked, her armor cracked. He was gonna tell everyone. Tonight, after the win. Elias squeezed my hand. Courage catches up. Dawn broke gray as they wheeled him out. Casted, groggy, but alive. Family clustered. His dad stone-faced but gripping Roman's shoulder with uncharacteristic tenderness. Our eyes met across the ER bay. Gratitude. A nod. The start of amends. Recovery unfolded in fragments. Roman's Instagram post. A simple figuring it out. One day. Rainbow flag emoji subtle. Defiant. Backlash murmured, but support swelled. Teammates' visits. Sarah's quiet exit from his life. Space for truth. Winter thawed to spring. Seattle's cherry blossoms, a pink riot against evergreens. Elias and I graduated under drizzly skies, caps airborne like freed birds. Roman walked with a limp, but head high, his speech at ceremony raw. I learned silence kills slower than fists. Speak your story. It's the only one that matters. We three, unlikely trinity, found rhythm in afters. Coffee clutches at Vivace, hikes where Elias sketched. Roman shared therapy wins. I read aloud from Whitman, leaves of grass binding us. Friendship, not flawless but true human, American in its resilient mess. Betrayal's scars faded, not erased, teaching that love, in all forms, demands vigilance, vulnerability. Roman found a boyfriend in college scout circuit, tentative steps into light. Elias's art bloomed, galleries in Capitol Hill, murals of mended skylines. Me? I chased lit at UW, journals now shared, voice unsilenced. On a summer eve, years later, we reconvened on that queen and porch. Beers in hand, the sound a silver thread below. Laughter flowed easy, stories looping back to prom's punch bowl wreckage. To refusing silence, Elias toasted, glasses clinking. To true friendship, Roman added, grin crooked. I raised mine, heart full. To us, in America's vast, flawed tapestry, we'd woven our thread dramatic, suspenseful, achingly romantic. Not perfect, but profoundly human. And in that, we endured.